There's some country music that is just straight up bad. It's just terrible, terrible, terrible songs. I derive no pleasure from a thing like Corn Star.
She's a corn star.
Or a song like Truck Yeah. Or a song like Donkey.
Ride that donkey down to the honky tonky.
These are atrocities that we wish we could forget, but we can't. They're blazed in our minds for forever. But then there's another category of songs that I'd call guilty pleasures, which are songs that we like even if we wouldn't admit that to everybody all the time. And why would you feel guilty about liking a country song? I think 3 reasons. 1, it's really, really poppy.
Hi, I'm Poppy.
I think that was the main factor as I thought about this video of what makes me feel guilty is just something that sounds super, super pop. The second would be that they're stupid. They have a dumb lyric or a cringy subject and you wish you weren't laughing, but much like your dad at the Thanksgiving table, you just end up chuckling when he makes a dad joke.
Come on in, son, the water's warm, if you know what I mean. I'm kidding, if you pee in the pool, you're grounded.
And the third would be that it's a song from an artist that you otherwise don't like, and so you feel bad liking this one song, even if you hate the whole rest of their catalog. So I put together my list of my top 10 guilty pleasure country songs, and I asked you guys on Instagram for some input too, so I'll be spreading those throughout this video and just mentioning some of the most popular guilty pleasures that you guys had. So hit like on this video, and let's get into it. And number 10 is a song that you knew had to be on this list. It's Achy Breaky Heart by Billy Ray Cyrus. Now, Achy Breaky Heart is one of the most famously bad songs ever, but it's also awesome and irresistible. If TikTok had been around when this song came out, it totally would have been a big TikTok anthem. It kind of started the big line dance craze that went through the rest of the 90s when it came out in 1990. It was silly and fun to say achy breaky. People were really into Billy Ray Cyrus's mullet. I mean, this song brings big mullet energy. And basically, it's just almost like a meme before memes were a thing. This was really the defining song of Billy Ray Cyrus's career. He never reached these heights or depths again, depending on how you look at it. But he has produced 2 other very notable pop culture moments, one being his daughter, Miley Cyrus, and the other being his appearance on Old Town Road this year. Billy Ray's never been one to shy away from being a little bit thirsty, and so he tried to remake the success of Achy Breaky Heart with this Buck 22 rap song called Achy Breaky 2. It didn't work, but hey, we always have Achy Breaky Heart. At number 9, it's Shania Twain's Man, I Feel Like a Woman. The first 3 words of this song have really become iconic in the 20 years since it came out. Shania says,
"Let's go, girls."
Man, I Feel Like a Woman is a real celebration of being a woman. This was coming out right at the same time as like the Spice Girls with doing their whole girl power thing. I would say the timbre of feminism at that time was really celebratory and really positive and excited. And the only reason I'm even calling this song a guilty pleasure is because a lot of dudes messaged me and they're like, yeah, I low-key have to scream that song when I hear it. A bunch of people said this song and Cowboy Take Me Away are 2 songs that are pretty feminine that they just love singing along to. The video also makes it a little bit of a guilty pleasure. Shania is famously sort of riffing on Robert Palmer's Addicted to Love video, but she's got all these kind of objectified men that she is standing in front of that all look identical. It's become a real iconic image. At number 8, it's Jordan Davis's Singles You Up.
If he ever singles you up, if he's ever stupid enough.
Now this is a total pop country sing-along song that at first I kind of wanted to dislike. But man, is it an earworm. I mean, there's a lot of bad pop country that just goes in one ear and out the other. Singles You Up just stays in my head. I think the phrase singles you up is pretty douchey. It's just like, hey girl, you get upgraded by this guy leaving you. In other words, my prospects get better. I'm really putting it on this list though because the Ryan Ryback remix of this song is like one of the only good EDM country fusions I've ever heard. I actually think this works like really, really well as a club jam, and if you haven't checked that out, I recommend it. But yes, I feel a little guilty and a little cringy owning that. At number 7, it's Rockin' the Beer Gut.
She was rocking the beer gut, and I love the way she's not ashamed.
I don't think I need to explain very much why I am including Rockin' the Beer Gut on a guilty pleasure list. I mean, look, there's a lot of songs that are focused on a woman's long tan legs.
I ain't your tan leg, Juliet.
There's a million lines in songs about painted on, cut off jeans.
Those jeans you painted on.
There's even some songs, you know, that are also maybe guilty pleasures, like Honky Tonk Badonkadonk.
Honky tonk, badonkadonk.
But I don't know that there's ever been a full song dedicated just to the flab around the midsection, like Rockin' the Beer Gut.
Pretty little girls rocking the beer gut.
This was from a duo called Trailer Choir that only had one album, didn't really have any big hits. This was the biggest hit, and it peaked at number 30, so it was kind of a non-factor, but it's a novelty song that's always stuck in my head. Also, funny fact about this song is that one of the guys in the band, Vincent Hickerson, who went by Big Vinny, years later ended up being on a season of The Biggest Loser, losing a bunch of weight himself. So who's to say if he would so excitedly sing about a little extra love around her waist now? At number 6 is a song called Tailgate by Ray Lynn.
If that tailgate ever tells, I'll be the small talk of the town.
Now, Ray Lynn has kind of been floating around in country music for the last few years, ever since appearing on The Voice, and she has had songs like Love Triangle that are kind of good. She's had songs like God Made Girls that I really don't like, but that's been her biggest hit. But man, the song that I think she put out that should be a hit is this weird song called Tailgate. This song is kind of taking the bro country formula, turning on its head, and Ray Lynn is singing about how she hooked up a bunch in the back of this truck. And the kind of tension in the chorus is this line, if that tailgate ever tells, I'd be the small talk of the town. The idea that she is scared that the tailgate is going to tell on her doesn't really work, but I enjoy that we're personifying the tailgate, that we're giving it emotions, that this little tailgate's a real gossip in the town and wants to go spill her sexual past to everyone. I don't know why it amuses me so much, but it amuses me so much just thinking of some gossipy truck. I've always kind of liked that song. What can I say? It's a guilty pleasure. And number 5 is Toby Keith's I Want to Talk About Me.
We talk about your work, how your boss is a jerk. We talk about your church and your head when it hurts.
I know I said at the beginning that sometimes you feel guilty about liking one song from an artist that you otherwise dislike. In this case, I feel guilty about liking one really crappy song from an artist that I otherwise really do like. Or at least at that time, I really did like him. He's been a lot more hit and miss over the last 10 years. But I Want to Talk About Me has Toby Keith rapping about how he wants some more attention on himself. He doesn't want to be a gentleman and have to listen to this girl babble on. He just wants to be selfish and talk about himself. It's funny and irreverent, and the video, I would say, has not aged very well. If I were a girl, I probably wouldn't want to be portrayed the way that video portrays me.
We talk about your dreams and we talk about your schemes, your high school team, and your moisturizer.
But look, guys, it's still pretty funny. At number 4 is Cruise by Florida Georgia Line. Everyone loved Cruise when it first came out. It made you want to roll your windows down and cruise. And it wasn't until Florida Georgia Line kind of became the poster boys of bro country, the super reviled era of really shallow lyrics, that people have started to really turn on them. And now it ain't cool to say that you like Florida Georgia Line. And I get that because they're collaborating with the Backstreet Boys. They're singing about sticking a pink umbrella in your drink on stuff like Sundays. And they've made a lot of singles that just aren't good and feel really shallow. At the same time, they've always thrown out stuff like Dirt and Confession that I think are actually really good songs. When they hit, it can slap. And that is so the case with Cruise, and really they invented the sound that then everyone else copied way worse than them. And the reason I'm putting Cruise at number 4 right here is because I want to segue into some of our honorable mentions, and specifically your picks, because holy crap, so many of you said Florida Georgia Line. I probably got a couple hundred responses, and I would say like 20% of them are Florida Georgia Line songs. Just on this one page of responses, we got Anything Goes by Florida Georgia Line, Round Here, Cruise by Florida Georgia Line. They say it's not a good song, but it's my jam. Another one for Cruise that says I don't like them, but I'll be damned if I don't belt that when it comes out. It's too bad I have to pretend Florida Georgia Line sucks and listen to them alone. Most Florida Georgia Line songs. Colorado by Florida Georgia Line, Talk You Out of It, Round Here. I'm gonna be the most hated person, but Confession by Florida Georgia Line. You don't gotta feel guilty about Confession. That's my favorite Florida Georgia Line song. Other big ones that you guys said on here are definitely Country Girl, Shake It For Me. There was a lot of responses that said that. Like I mentioned before, a lot of dudes said Cowboy, Take Me Away. They find themselves screaming at the top of their lungs. Two Step by Laura Bell Bundy. That ain't a guilty pleasure for me. That's just guilty. Some of y'all said That's My Kinda Night, and again, I'm gonna say you should feel guilty for that one. A bunch of rednecker choices, and I have a whole video on Hardy. You should go watch that. I kind of am into Hardy. Randy Houser, Pre-Magnolia. That's funny. People Get Old by Lori McKenna. You're trolling me. That has to be a troll. Never Feel Guilty about Loving People Get Old by Lori McKenna. A perfect song. The only perfect score on this channel. And then a bunch of people saying they like OMW by Zac Brown, which definitely is the kind of production on that album that sticks with me the most, but yeah, you should still feel guilty about it. But now let's get back into the top 3. At number 3 is Don't Worry About a Thing by Shadazy.
Life is funny, life's a mess, sometimes a curse, sometimes a blessing.
This is a pretty dumb but lighthearted song about not dwelling on the bad things that have happened in your life, just not worrying about a thing. It's extremely poppy, it's extremely stupid. I mean, the chorus is literally them saying blah, 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 blah. It's even got the line, we all got a little junk in the trunk.
We all got a little junk in the trunk.
A little butt pun in the middle of talking about how we got emotional baggage. Shadazy holds disproportionate space in my mind because I think I discovered them on the show So Weird. They made an appearance on this random Disney Channel show, and it was when I was still a very young country fan, and so I was very invested in Shadazy's career. And I like this song, I like the humor in it, even if I don't really like a lot of what Shadazy put out. At number 2, it's Life Changes by Thomas Rhett.
Ain't it funny how life changes as you wake up?
Now, generally, I don't really get why Thomas Rhett is working in country music. He seems much more interested in being a pop star, in trying to emulate Bruno Mars, bring some choreography into his music, be some kind of aspirational influencer couple on Instagram, and yet there's this song Life Changes that really has nothing to do with the sounds of country music, and yet I really like it. I actually think this sounds better, feels more honest, and is more interesting than so much of the stuff that Thomas Rhett does in country music, which feels a lot more bland and bro-ish to me. I'll take Life Changes and its thoughtful lyrics about growing up and getting married and adopting a child and social media and your wife becoming a star, and really the honesty in this song and the kind of lighthearted feel. I'll take this stuff, even if it's in a very poppy package, any day of the week over stuff like Get Me Some of That.
You're singing that morning maker like
But even with all the horns and the silliness and the kind of talk rap all throughout it, I just think it's great. And I think it's great because it feels honest. And then my number 1 guilty pleasure song is Rain is a Good Thing by Luke Bryan.
rain makes corn, corn makes whiskey.
Rain is a Good Thing is a guilty pleasure because it's just so stupid. It is literally about being thankful for rain because rain produces the crop corn. Corn can be made into whiskey. Whiskey can get a girl drunk and then have sex with you. It is somehow both a horny and gratitude-filled way of viewing the weather, and I think that makes it amusing.
Country girls, they wanna cuddle. Kids out playing in a big mud puddle.
And it's so ridiculous because I feel like you could, ultimately take any object and just connect it to sex. You could say, pens make words, words make songs, songs feel romantic, so my baby's in a thong. There you go. I mean, I'm just saying, it doesn't really make sense, but something about the kind of dominoes falling of rain makes corn, corn makes whiskey, whiskey makes my baby get a little frisky, which is a fun line. It's so dumb that you just kind of got to step back and chuckle at it. It became a big hit for Luke Bryan, and he's kind of remained this big old cornball ever since then, with stuff like That's My Kind of Night, even his new single Right Now, or MOVE, Love It When You Feel the Beat. I mean, look, Luke Bryan is not the most serious artist. I don't really like many Luke Bryan songs, but sometimes he's awesome, but then sometimes he's really awesome when he's making a song like Rain is a Good Thing. So that's it for me, you guys. Those are my top 10 guilty pleasure songs. I would love to know some of yours that I didn't mention down below. I mean, I got a whole freaking thing right here of all the different songs that we didn't even mention on here. But that's for another time, So give this video a like, share it, add to the comments down below. I freaking love you guys, and I will be back soon with the whole Luke Combs review thing. It's going to be a big one. So that's it for me, you guys. Peace.